But we'll kind of go ahead and get started. For anybody that has been to one of my classes before, one thing I try to do is I try to make them comfortable. I'm probably not like the best leader or speaker or whatever you want to call it, but I try to kind of really meet people where they are. And in terms of goals, I had probably like 10 or 12 years of my life where I had no goals whatsoever. I partied hard, I did what I wanted to do, and then I got on the other side of that and I saw kind of what it got me. Made some changes, started doing things a little bit different, and I'm much happier with this side of things versus how that side of things was once upon a time. But I heard a speaker lately, and it was through Brian Buffini, but there's a guy named John Acuff, and he wrote a book called Soundtracks. And it's about kind of the stories or the lies that we tell ourselves, and it really resonated with me because I discovered, for the most part, I have a pretty positive soundtrack. But I can spend time with people who have default negative soundtracks. And those can become your soundtracks unless you learn to write a different song. So the first thing you'll notice, anybody does not have one of these. This is a very important part of today. You guys got pens? So we're going a little old school. Everybody else good? We're going old school. I want a couple of asks first. I know we're realtors. I know you're just as productive and you live as full of life as I do, and vice versa. What I'm going to do for you guys is the only time I'm going to look at my phone while I'm in here is when I play music, when we're writing notes down. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I promise you that anything you have in front of you right now can wait until the end of this class. But if your goals are important to you, I'm asking you to make them the most important thing to you for the next 35 to 50 minutes. Can we make a deal on that? All right, no laptops open, no phones, no nothing. We're going straight up old school. The next thing you'll notice is the commitment that I made to you. I told you guys that everybody would have a chance to make $500 by just showing up today, right? Did anybody come here just for that reason? My teammate. All right. I'm big on scratchers. I'm terrified of showing up empty-handed anywhere, and I'm okay admitting that. So if I send somebody a birthday card, it's going to have a scratcher in it. If I show up for a Popeye, I'm going to have some corny little gift with me. But for today, what I promised you was a chance to make $500. The only catch, and this is all on your integrity, the only catch is if you win 50, 100, 500 bucks, don't spend it on yourself. Spend it on your database. Make an investment in your business. Oh gosh, that was all me. And that's only because you work for another broker. I would like to get some more If you lose, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you win, that's cool. I hope that somebody wins.
Well, that was fun, Larry. Thank you.
That was nice. Busy didn't win.
Wait, one, but I scratched off what I wanted too hard.
Scratch the bottom, it'll tell you in letters what it says.
Cheat code on scratches. It actually, you know what,
I should say
How do you know?
that's what's in it.
Gonna go buy some items.
If I buy them liquor to forget about my friends.
I only described it as 72 and she's the best. She has on some.
Hey, Mark.
All right. So the other part of this is I'm asking for participation. Sometimes when it comes to goal setting, people like to keep the stuff close to the chest, but when they achieve a goal, they want to shout it from a mountaintop. I think sometimes the opposite might be better. if you share your goals, you're probably more likely to achieve them because more people know about them and will ask you about them, especially if they care about you. So I got a few more dollar scratchers. I'd like to give them out as the class goes along today, but I'm gonna need your help on some of this stuff. So help me out if you can. First thing we're gonna do is fill in some blanks, right? The goal of all of this is to make your tomorrow easier and to start today. The idea, though, is that we are preached perfectionism. If you don't vote for this presidential candidate because they're the perfect person, I don't think that either of them are perfect people. And I also don't think that trying to treat them like they are perfect does us any good. But perfectionism, the blanks, perfectionism, it tells us all or nothing, right? So perfectionism says, hey, dude, you gotta be all in, you gotta be perfect, or nothing's gonna happen. And that ties into goal setting. Right now, 11% of people in America set goals versus 90% 30 years ago. And I don't know the reason why. I didn't go to cool enough schools to be smart enough to do a bunch of quotes and all that stuff. But in John Acuff's book, he says the reason he believes it happens is because of the soundtrack that we continue preaching to each other. And the soundtrack is, I can't be perfect, so I don't try. Since I can't do it as good as it can be done, I'm not going to do anything at all. Which is weird to me. So a soundtrack, right, can become repetitive. I like anthem better than soundtrack. I'm also from Petersburg, so an anthem would be like your hype song or something like that. But an anthem, think about it, right? Like our national anthem. Remember the Olympics, right? The winner of every competition, it's their national anthem played. It's like the most positive song that exists for every country. Athletes tear up when they hear the song, right? Like an anthem is nothing but positive. And an anthem says some is always better than none. Something is always better than nothing. So the first piece of advice that I hope to give you today is, when you hear a soundtrack, can you identify it as negative? And the tips I'll give you on that. First, I'll have a better year this year than I did last year. And sometimes when I think about having a better year next year than I did this year, I got into real estate in 2007. I'm like, Larry, when are we going to stop playing this game? Like better, more. Sometimes I think different might be the answer. Like, how do we want next year to be different? Not better, how do we want to do more? But ultimately, is the soundtrack that I'm going over in my head, is it even true? Because when I say I want to have a better year next year, if I'm being honest with you, the first thing that creeps into my head is like, how the hell are you going to do that, man? It's negative thoughts. It's a negative soundtrack that kicks up right then and there. Well, how am I going to do that? Some beats nothing every day. I'm going to sit down with guys like Benjamin, Sam, other guys in October, in early November of every year. I'm going to reflect on my year. I'm going to define how I want the next year to look, and I'm going to get the hell to work. I'm not going to lay down for 2 months during the holidays. I'm not going to hem and haw in January because there's not that much going on. I had a plan the whole time. I'm showing up and performing per the plan. That's what I hope I can get you guys to do today. So just remember, soundtrack says, I'm burnt out. An anthem says, I'm resetting. Have less hype and more hope. The 3 R's I actually got from Underground Huddle recently, something that Build Coaching does. Highly recommend an Underground Huddle if you haven't jumped on one yet. Speakers from around the country. The last one was Shaka Smart, head coach of men's basketball team at Marquette University. And he gave us 3 R's. The first is review. You need to use the tools at your disposal to investigate the truth. The second is to reflect. And so to reflect, you have to give deeper thought. You have to have 0 distractions, and the reflection needs to be the top priority. We're going to do a little bit of that today. And then the last part is repurpose. And to repurpose, I looked this up, I thought it was pretty cool. To repurpose means to give new, meaningful application. And we're gonna do that with action steps. I did number one. I gotta bring all my stuff together, here we go. So that takes us to step 2. Every year, I didn't do this until probably 3 or 4 years ago, and that was when I realized, man, like this is what I've been missing the whole time. If you look only forward in terms of goal setting, you're already missing the boat. Goal setting, a lot of times, is building on something that you've already created, but building it in a way that you want to. So what we're gonna do for maybe the next 5-10 minutes is we're gonna do individual reviews, right? You can see that you've got blanks on your sheet, and then you can see what the last line says. Continue the exercise out of Hometown University. You should be able to fill this up pretty quickly. I'll give you some tools outside of class once we're done that'll help you go further than maybe the tools that we have in front of us will allow us to go. But each of you, I want you to think for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm gonna play some like corny, calm music so you guys can marinate. But I want you to review your year. What are you proud of? What did you smash this year? What happened that you didn't anticipate? This is not a what I need to do better, what I didn't do. This is a reflection and a celebration on the year you've had so far. Everybody understand that?
Mhm.
All right. Prepare for corny music. Okay, Long, what's up?
It's my favorite song.
Focus, bro, focus.
She was 19 with a big. I'm gonna run.
Just the worst playlist ever.
I hardly think I'm qualified.
Time of day. We'll give it like a couple more minutes, 2 more minutes. All right, let's try to get to a point where we're kind of wrapping up, at least for the class portion of it. Oh, that was kind of relaxing. I had like some, it may as well just be called like hippie fantasy music, because I don't know where this stuff comes from. I was hoping to put on like, I even typed in a Spotify goal writing playlist. It gave me a lot of different stuff. So you guys got to witness a little bit of that before we got going. And we'll hear some more of it here in a minute. So the reason I asked you to give this limited time in here is because you can't do this in 5 or 10 minutes. Like you don't give it its due if you do it in that short of time. I also got, I think some of this came from Benjamin. I got some tips along the way on resources that you could use when your mind fails you. I don't, in a day's time, so many things can come at me. I retain most of the important stuff, but I lose little stuff all the time. It just kind of happens. I think when you have kids, it starts to happen more and more because their stuff gets in your head too. But you have all kinds of resources to refer back to you thanks to the beauty of technology. Reviewing a year has never been easier than it is right now. So first things first, you probably have pictures on your phone, right? Throughout your year, you can probably jog your memory on cool stuff that's happened throughout the year by jumping on your phone and looking at the pictures. I am not an advocate for social media because I'm old and wasn't raised on it, but you sure as heck can get on social media and find victories, because most of the time all the people put on social media is the cool places they've gone and the victories they've achieved. Calendar, I actually go back through my schedule. I realized that doing those first 2 steps is awesome, but I missed some stuff on the business side. Referring back to my calendar shows me events throughout the year that I attended, milestones and stuff like that. I include my wife. Most people that know me know I include my wife in most of the stuff that we deal with anyway, but your wife's got a phone, your husband's got a phone, your significant other's got a phone, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it ends up being, as do your friends and family. So memory joggers, right? Clarify what your year really was with reality versus this. If you say what your year was here, you'll call it the truth, but you'll never know the truth. If you scroll through your phones, you go through your schedules and stuff like that, you'll be able to lay out the truth on paper. What I've discovered is that the truth is actually way more positive once you break it out on paper than it typically is up here. That's the only reason I say continue this exercise outside of Montana. All that makes sense so far? Okay. All right. So the next thing we'll talk about is the perfect workday. This has been one of my favorites for a long time because I think it's like what we don't want to talk about. We don't want people to invade our workday. We don't want the minutes invaded, the 5-10 minute segments that we squander. We like to talk about the most productive chunks of our day, and then we act as if that's our entire day. What I know through coaching, through mentoring, and through being mentored is that most of us squander a fair amount of time by just not having any type of framework for a plan. And so today the idea is we're coming up with light framework of what you want your plan to look like. We're not creating a every 15-minute step-by-step program that you show up and have to perform. But the first thing I'll say is that I think we as a society, we started to demonize hard work. Like if you're just an old school blue collar hard worker, like that's not cool. We're looking for an easier way to do that. Sometimes you can spend your whole life looking for the easier way and you watch these traditional hard workers just pass you by the entire time. I know a few older people like that. They were like the talkers of life, always talking about the guy that was doing something. they're still talking about them. They're not doing anything. I resolved to not be that guy early. And so I think one key point in the perfect workday is there's 16 blanks on there for a reason. If you get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, if you get more than 8 hours of sleep, you should probably talk to somebody about that. Because that's a lot of sleep. But at the end of the day, if you get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, that leaves 16 to 18 hours in a day that you decide what you want to do with. I'm not saying give it to hometown, give it to your real estate business. I'm just saying truly, if that's the case, you've got that time left over. What I'll try to help you understand today, though, is that you need a morning routine and you need a nighttime routine. It doesn't need to be restricting, but a morning routine is going to catapult you into your day, and a nighttime routine is going to prevent you from starting your next day in reactive fashion. And I don't know another way around it. I don't like getting up early. I will be fully transparent with you. I hate getting up early. I love staying up late. Like the idea of putting my kids to bed and then having an hour to an hour and a half of like Larry time, oh my God. But I've been on the other side of it too many times, way too many times. I've been exhausted the next morning. I've been not clear-headed at appointments, and I know why. Eventually, I just decided I was going to do something about it. Do I like waking up at 4:15 in the morning? No, I hate it. I'll say it every day of the year. Do I know another way? I don't. I get the time that I need in the morning now instead of the night. After my kids go to bed, after my wife goes to bed, if I don't have any work to do, I take about 30 to 45 minutes. Most of the time I watch stand-up comedy. I'm not gonna lie. I like to say I read a book before bed. I'm not gonna lie to you and make you think I'm better than I really am. I like stand-up comedy. It chills me out. I think Kevin Hart's hilarious. I've seen all of his like 50 times. I like to wind down my day with humor. That's me, right? You guys can do something different. You could read. You can literally just watch trash TV if you want to. I don't care, but you need to pay attention to how this stuff is affected, right? So in the morning, I identified that I could get everything that I wanted from my day. I just couldn't get it when I wanted. I journal every day. 15 years ago, I would have, if you'd have been like, I journal every day, I'd have been like, you're a sissy. Like, I don't hang out with people like you. I don't understand journaling, writing your feelings down on paper. Like, I've been that guy. So like, if you're thinking about journaling in that aspect, I agree with you. And I do it every day, and it's one of the best things that's ever happened. I follow the 5-minute journal format. I've never done another format because I don't need another format. I wake up to gratitude, right? I lay out what I believe about myself, and then I lay out action for the day. I don't know a better way to get my mind right. So if you don't do a journal, my advice is to do something similar that helps you get your mind right first. And I promise you it won't have anything to do with your phone. If you pick up your phone to start your day, you have just asked your phone to give you something to do. I like to give my day something to do. I don't like everything coming and giving me stuff to do. But if you check that phone in the morning, you know it's going to give you something to do, and that's why you check it. Think about it. That's why we check it. But if you had control of your morning, your phone wouldn't fit into it until a certain time, right? I don't mess with my phone too much until after I've got the boys up and got them eating breakfast. So first things first, your morning routine should align with your top goals, and your evening routine should prime you for the next day. I'm gonna have you write down a couple of just general topics to maybe fill in here as you write out what you feel like your perfect workday is. But think about yourself personally in a mental and physical capacity. You could be jacked out of your mind. You could be like Roy Floyd, you know what I mean? Like 2% body fat. But if you're dying inside, it doesn't mean anything. You could be the most emotionally healthy person, but if you're grossly overweight and 6 months from dying or having a heart attack, again, you're not doing anybody any good. So both of these things need to be studied. So on the personal side, mental and physical. On the professional side, a few of us know this, right? On the professional side, you have a job and you have a business. And your job screams at you every day and you want to shut up. Your business is quiet every day and you wish it would speak up. But you've got to pay attention to both of them every day. Your family. If you're not married, you don't have kids, it doesn't matter. You still have family. You still have goals, commitments, obligations. Community, I use Kev as an example. I've lived in Hickory Hill for, I think, like 3 years now. Up until Kev took over a certain position, I saw a bunch of bitching and whining and posts about how we deserve power from Dominion, but other people don't. And then Kev took over a position. Now the neighborhood looks better. People are speaking more positive. And these people that we didn't think were willing to chip in are showing up Saturday for a neighborhood work day. Ain't nobody getting paid a dime for that. And then we're partying Saturday night. So like, that's because Kev made up his mind that we were gonna do something different than how we were doing it before. And everybody deserves power equally from Dominion. And then finances. You need to look at your finances through the microscope and the telescope. Your microscope are your day-to-day bills, your month-to-month bills and stuff like that. Your telescope is, do you want to have money later in life? Why are you waiting to start thinking about that? It was preached to me in my 20s that, like, you know, most people at y'all's age, y'all don't really, you know, invest much in the 401ks and stuff like that. Y'all are still trying to find your way. And then when I was in my 30s, they told me, man, if you had started investing in your 20s, you would be here right now. I'm like, why didn't anybody tell me that in my 20s? Start now. I don't care where you are in real estate. I don't care if you have 3 deals closed, 30 deals closed. It doesn't matter. You can put something to the side. And a quick tip on that is if you don't have a money market account, open a money market account today. Put $100 in. If you don't have $100, come see me because we got to work on your habits in real estate. But you can make money right now. You can prepare for retirement right now if you actually care about it. You just need to open a money market account. So personal, mental and physical, professional, your job and your business, your family, your community, and then your finances, both through the microscope and telescope. Again, 5-10 minutes on this. Don't look at your neighbor's paper. This is yours, not theirs. But write down your perfect day. What would make you the happiest? What would make you the most proud professionally at the end of the day if you did it literally line by line? I'll try not to murder y'all with the music. One more minute here. All right. Any thoughts? One thing I was hoping to do with the class at this point is to get somebody to be courageous enough to give one celebration from the year, and then somebody else to share one aspect of their perfect day. Who is willing to share a celebration from last year?
Now, you know I do my math different, but first 5-figure check.
First 5-figure check. Big time, man. I like that. 5-figure check, nice. 5-figure check.
Maybe a 6-figure now?
I don't know. Probably not. One big doll hater for you. First 5-figure check. How do you think you got there, Trevor?
Keep running into the wall. Eventually it'll happen.
There's this, I don't know where I heard it, but I heard it a couple weeks ago and I got it on my board in my office. It's, why do we give problems that took 6 months to happen only 6 days to fix? You know, we want the quick fix, but it takes things a while to get. It takes a while to get to a 5-figure check in real estate. I mean, who the hell wouldn't want one quick, you know, but it takes a while to get to it. How about one aspect of the perfect day?
Being home by 3 p.m. for Zoe.
Home by 3 p.m. for the kids. I like that. It means a lot to them. If you want somebody to make you feel special, do something a little out of the ordinary for your kids. You know what I mean? My kids make me feel a lot more special than my clients do. I can tell you that. What else? Any other celebrations? Any other aspects of the perfect day?
Good.
Thus far this year, because I've run over 1,000 miles.
You run over 1,000 miles this year? And not running from anybody or?
No.
Go ahead. 1,000 miles.
I had to check my phone for that, that's why I was on there.
All right, we'll give you a hall pass on that one. 1,000 miles. That's
Too many
not
miles.
fair. Huh?
Too many miles.
Yeah. Like the
Yeah, thank you.
What are you gonna say, Greg?
She took the real thing seriously.
My big goal was to
What?
let my husband work less overtime, so he's only worked like 120 hours of overtime this year instead of his normal like 10. So
How many, if you really had to think about how many overtime hours within 1,000 hours, how many hours of overtime do you think he's working?
I couldn't even go to a billion. He works 6 days a week while I was teaching.
Wow. That's big time. Brent's goal oriented and came in with some pretty missile focused goals. How many years in education? 8 years in education, left a career job to come and be a realtor. Yeah, yeah. So much stability. And then, you know, things are working out because she's goal oriented. I have a new goal I figured I'd tell you about. My oldest son, he'll be 11 next month, and he's about this tall. So it's like debatable where that came from, you know what I mean? But he's a runner by nature. I put him in like football, baseball, wrestling, all the sports. And then I ran with him one day and I'm like, he's got long legs, he's kind of fast, and it doesn't look like he works that hard. It's kind of like Hayden running. Like he's running really fast. It doesn't look like he's working hard, but he has to be. He's running like 6-minute miles. But I challenged my son to a foot race. This was just last week. I got beat by my son in a foot race, and I consider myself to be in decent shape. Like I work out 5 days a week. I do a bunch of different stuff, and he smoked me, and he wasn't even tired, and I was on the verge of vomiting after the race, and it was 1 mile. Now, like I ran a 7:25 mile. I'm not impressed with that. But one of my goals is in 6 months, my son is not going to beat me in a 1 mile, right? So no matter how outlandish your goals might be, they're yours, right? Like my goal to beat my son in a 1 mile race might seem insensitive to some people. I don't care. Every time my boys beat me, it's going to be legit. And seeing him celebrate after beating me tells me that they know it's not given. You know what I mean? Because he gave me the business for the rest of the night. Ultimately, though, you're gonna have to kind of think about this stuff in a way mentally that says, I'm willing to change, and that's okay. I'm not good enough the way I am right now, and that's okay. I'm not looking to be perfect. And so to do that, we're gonna repurpose some stuff. So there's, in terms of the 3 new R's, right? Like we need to retire some things, we need to replace some things, and we need to repeat some things. The top part is usually pretty easy. Those are the things that we feel the most guilty about, usually. So usually it's easy to fill those in. When you start thinking about things to replace, that usually can take a little bit longer. But when it comes time to figuring out what you want to repeat, that's the part I had the hardest time with. Most of the stuff that I realized I needed to repeat was not necessarily something that I loved, but it was something that was just tremendously effective in life. So the advice I'll give you in the repeat category is be careful of your emotions. Repeating something that's working can be a good thing, even if you don't like it, right? I have to nag my sons to brush their teeth every day. Their teeth are gonna fall out of their mouths. We have like a 2-minute policy. You brush your teeth for 2 minutes. If you don't, you go back in, you brush them for another 2 minutes. So it's pretty smart to just bang it out at the first 2 minutes second. They've never listened to it. But at the end of the day, I could continue to repeat the same things to them and hope that it would be different, or I could replace what I was doing with something else. I showed them YouTube videos of people with jacked up teeth. Like, you know, I'm not saying like YouTube meth addicts or anything like that, but you can find people with messed up teeth thanks to technology. I can promise you when your son or daughter looks at somebody that has truly jacked up teeth, like a really messed up grill, they're gonna be like, can I get a new toothbrush? I've been thinking about flossing also. I'd like some mouthwash. Like we're gonna take this thing to DEFCON 5. It works, right? When you're thinking about the repeating stuff, remember, it's not about liking it or not liking it. It's about the place that it has in your life. Is it working or not, right? I don't like running, but I'm gonna smoke my son in a 1 mile race if it's the last thing that I do. God didn't give me long running legs. He gave me these little stubby things right here. But those things are gonna be moving like Roadrunner in like the next 6 months, right? To do that though, I'm gonna have to replace some of the stuff I'm doing now with some things that are gonna take me in a direction to run faster, right? I mean, that's pretty common stuff. So take 5 minutes, 5 minutes. What needs to go into the retirement program? Is it a habit? Is it a mindset? Is it a type of client? Are you there yet in your business? You can get there to a certain, when you've been in the business for a certain amount of time, I do think you can escort a client to someone else and away from you. But again, that could be something that dangerously could happen too early, and you make it detrimental to your business. So what do you need to retire? Just 3 things. What would you like to replace? And then what do you want to repeat next year? Let's see if we can knock it out in 5 minutes. one more minute, we will bring this thing to the home stretch. All right, who is comfortable sharing something that they want to repeat in 2025? Oh, snap. Okay. Attack dogs. Let's go. Jeff.
Reading.
Reading. More reading. Well, repeating reading. How, what are you proud of this year?
I probably didn't read very many books. I don't want to say 0 books last year, but I have read significantly more books this year, really read, and I think that's a good habit to repeat.
What do you think it's done for you?
Continuing education, practicing gratitude, something that I've done a lot this year, and a lot of the books I have read have talked about practicing gratitude, so just, I don't know, subconsciously building better habits.
Like, how do you fuel your brain? You know,
Right.
You can fuel it with TV. That might not be the end of the world, but usually a book will do a little bit more for you. That's strong. That's strong. Who else?
Allowing room for error and growth for me personally and people in my life.
Without one, there can't really be the other, can there? Right? Like, how do you grow if you never mess anything up? Like, even as corny as it is, even like going to the gym, thinking about what the growth of a muscle is, it's pretty raw and involves pain and breakdown and rebuilding. Yeah, that's strong. Who else? I think we have one more. More than one more. K-Long.
For repeat, just more in routine and just call blocks. If I can control those two and control the rest of the day.
Old Faithful. Call blocks.
I did patience. I was getting the career started. It's tough to be patient. Just kind of hone more in on that.
Yeah. Repeat what's working, right? And stop what's not, maybe. That's strong. Way to go, Connor. One more.
Well, mine's not even related to real estate, but it's, to repeat prioritizing being a grandmother. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and so I spent a lot of time with her, so I'm gonna repeat prioritizing that before other things.
Grandma facing life.
Yeah.
May end up, oh gosh, I did it so many times. I never had like a really good baseball career, so I'll throw some probably not that strong.
And I already won $1.
We got a couple winners so far. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We may have, we got a big winner in here today. So when we talked earlier about an anthem, I would love it. You don't do it today. I don't think today's to do it. I think today's a day to like tap into this stuff, and then you spend a few hours outside of this to really dig into it. But an anthem, so one word, one phrase, whatever you want it to be. I'm not going to get specific with you there. My word from this year was to invest, and it kind of came to me because it accented everything that I realized I wanted to do in life, but I wasn't able to realize that until I had all of this stuff out on paper. It was pretty messy, but you'll surprise yourself how it all comes together and how it really does start to take you in a direction. But what do you want your 2025 anthem to be, right? If 2024 for me was invest, that was in my team. I can reflect on how I did that and I can be proud of that. My family, I can reflect on that and I can be proud of that. And then my personal investments, I can reflect on that and be proud of it. So that was kind of like the mentality and the format behind it. I hope you guys can find your anthem too. But more important than the anthem is the truth teller. I say we like we're all the same, but I'm convinced that people in society, they just love people telling them how great they are and all the good stuff. If you were to tell somebody like, hey man, like you're a good person. I see you doing stuff out there, but you know you're not perfect, right? Like people would be like, I'm not. Like, no, like none of us are. Like, and it's okay. But I think friendship has given a way to lip service people. And like growing up where I come from, you literally would have a fist fight with your friend and y'all would be friends again in a couple of days. It was part of the disagreement process that friends have. We're not the same. We're going to disagree. And as human beings, we're going to work through it. So I have a different approach to an accountability partner. I think an accountability partner is the one that'll tell you the shit when you need to hear it. And they'll tell it to you exactly like you need to hear it in the most impactful way based on your personality, in a way that will invigorate you to get the F to work. They might piss you off. You may get to work to spite them. You may reach your goals because they challenged you. Who cares, right? Love that person because they love you enough to tell you the truth, but you need to find that person. Because what I wrote down here is we all have blind spots. Like every vehicle has a blind spot. Who are you going to pick to be your mirror, right? You need a true type. This could be a fellow agent. It could be a teammate. It can be a team leader. It can be a coach. If you're a veteran in real estate and you don't have a coach of any kind, ask all the others why they do. That's all I can really say about that. Or a mentor of some kind. And I got this a few years back. There's a concept called sugar and hot sauce. And sugar and hot sauce is the best because it gives you permission to give me the bad and the good. Give me some sugar first, like soften me up a little bit, let's make it sweet. And then lay some hot sauce on me. I want to know how I can get better. I want to know where the chinks in my armor are. And I know we made the agreement to be honest with each other. So one thing I would want you to try to do today before you leave, I want you to identify who your true teller is. They don't need to be in this room, but before the end of the day, I want you to call and get their permission. Can you guys do that? All right, so write your true teller down. If you're married, you already.
I mean, if you're still married.
It's like, I don't want to call it.
You know.
If you got kids, man, you might have like 3, 4, 5 true tellers. Right, so you call your true teller and say, hey, look, I'm in the process of setting some goals for next year. I would love it if you could be a part of it as my true teller. And what a true teller is somebody who gives me the sugar and the hot sauce. I give you permission right now to give me both. I know I'm going to need to be picked up at certain times. I hope you can do that. I know I'm going to need to be kicked in the butt. I hope you can do that. I've got my people. I try to be that for my squad too, but you got to have somebody because the fact of the matter is in life, you're going to go further when you've got people versus if you don't have anybody. And the lie we tell ourselves is that we can make it alone. You need a plan and you need patience, like Connor said. So again, don't give a situation or a problem 6 months to happen and only 6 days for the solution to kick in. Quantify the time of your effort. I'm setting these goals. I'm going to work diligently for 6 months on these before I even say a word or measure or talk about what's working or not. We give up way too early on stuff. And then the last thing I'll say is something that I got from Shaka Smart too. We do things one time and we want 100-time results. If you want 100-time results, do it 100 times and you'll get 100-time results. I appreciate y'all coming.
What's up, Larry?